Samson called as he rushed to his mom's room with a knife. "Mommy, mommy, mommy, mommy," he shouted aloud. "Samson, what is pursuing you? And what are you doing with the knife?" Samson's mom asked. "Mommy, please come and see what I did to Deborah in the kitchen," Samson said. "Samson, what did you do to Deborah? Inquiry is blocked all over your school uniform and hands." "Mommy, I used your knife to do what that auntie did to that uncle in that movie we watched last night. And she fell on the ground just like the uncle in the movie. And she fell on the ground just like the uncle in the movie. And I called her several times, but she refused to answer, and I tried to wake her up so that we could finish our breakfast, but she did not move her body, let alone respond to me. Please come and wake her up from her sleep so that we can finish our breakfast and go to school," Samson explained innocently. "Samson, you did what?" Jesus, my only daughter. I hope it's not what I'm thinking." "Oh." Samson's mom screamed as she rushed out of the room, and when she got to the kitchen, she was shocked by what she saw. Once upon a time, they were a couple named Mark and Maria who were married for 20 years without having a child. But God eventually blessed them with two amazing children, Samson and Deborah. Mark and his family were living happily and healthily until Mark traveled abroad on multimillionaire contract, leaving his wife and his children in Nigeria. One night, Maria and her children were watching an action movie in her bedroom when Mama Jude and Nanny walked in and said, "Samson and Deborah, it is time to sleep. Your rooms are ready, Auntie." "We are not ready to sleep yet. We want to finish watching this movie first," Samson said. "Samson, it is already late. Now you need to sleep so you can get up on time and prepare for school tomorrow," Mama Jude said. "What exactly is wrong with you, this woman? Are you so blind that you don't see my children are having a good time?" Maria asked. "I am sorry, Ma, but I am doing this so that they do not sleep in class tomorrow," Mama Jude said. "See, woman, I did not hire you to come and train my children for me. I hired you to look after them. Get out of my room right now," Maria commanded. "I will, Ma." "But Ma, this type of movie you are allowing these children to watch is not appropriate for their age. You are spoiling their minds. You should not have watched this type of movie with them," Mama Jude said. "I think get out of my room. See, woman, I do not play with my children's happiness. I am willing to do anything illegal to make them happy because I know what I went through before they were born." Maria said, "Please, Ma, I am speaking from experience and I am advising you as a mother. I have 5 grown-up children, although 4 are late. Ma, I know what the children of this generation are capable of doing. My grandson nearly suffocated his twin sister with a pillow when they were younger after watching an action movie," Mama Jude said. "You cannot compare your poor wretched children to mine. My children are well-trained and extremely intelligent, unlike the doll that you refers to as your children. Please get out of my presence," Maria said as she pushed Mama Jude out of her room. Mama Jude went to her room and started crying and thinking about her little husband. And when Maria and her children were watching the movie, Samson asked, "Mommy, did that uncle who just died in this movie really die?" "No, he did not die. He is just acting. He will wake up after the fight," Maria replied. A few moments later, Mama Jude had a terrible dream about Deborah and Samson, in which she was in her bathroom when she heard Deborah screaming loudly. So, she quickly tied her towel and ran to see what made Deborah scream in that manner. And when she got there, she saw Deborah lying dead on the ground, with blood gushing out of her head and Samson attempting to lift her. Jesus Christ! "Samson, what happened to Deborah?" Mama Jude asked with great shock. "Deborah and I were acting what we saw in the movie, and Deborah kicked me painfully in the stomach, so I decided to push her and she fell and hit her head on the wall," Samson explained. And as Mama Jude was about to rush Deborah to a nearby hospital, Maria drove in and rushed out of the car. "Woman, what happened to my daughter? Maria asked. Deborah needs immediate medical attention. Let us speed to the hospital. I will explain everything to you later, Mama Jude responded, and he took Deborah to the hospital. However, Deborah died on the way. Maria then accused Mama Jude of killing Deborah and told everyone about it. They arrested Mama Jude and sentenced her to death by hanging. And as they were about to hang her, she screamed heavily and woke up from her sleep. When she woke up, she dashed to Maria's room and saw her still watching the action movie with Deborah and Samson. Please, Ma, I want to tell you something very important, privately. What is that, woman? She asked arrogantly. Please, Ma, what I'm about to tell you is extremely important. And I do not want to tell you in front of these children. My friend said whatever you want to say and get out of my room, Maria said. Please, Ma, I cannot tell you in front of Samson and Deborah. What is wrong with you, this woman? Can't I have peace of mind in my own house? I am sorry, Ma. After today, I will not bother you any longer. Just come and listen to what I have to say. Ma, my heart is pleaded. And Maria became so angry that she poured the juice she was drinking on Mama Jude. Mama Jude sadly went into her room and began crying. 10 minutes later, Mama Jude's spirit became extremely troubled. So she rushed back to Maria's room. And Maria asked her angrily, "This woman, what exactly is your problem this night?" "Please, Ma, just listen to what I want to say," Mama Jude pleaded. "I give you 1 minute to say whatever you want and get out of my presence." And as Mama Jude was trying to tell her the dream, Maria said, "Woman, I do not have time for pointless discussions. Keep your foolish dream to yourself. I thought you had something reasonable to say. Please smell away from my presence." She pushed Mama Jude out of her room and locked the door without patiently listening to what Mama Jude was saying. The next morning, Mama Jude awoke fearfully and began saying, "I cannot stay in this house any longer. I sense serious danger ahead. And if I do not take immediate action, I will be in big trouble. I need to leave this house this morning," Mama Jude said as she packed her clothes and then went to Maria's room. "Good morning, Ma," Mama Jude greeted with folded arms. "Woman, where are you going this morning that you are dressed this way? Have you dressed my kid for school and prepared your breakfast?" Maria asked. "I am very sorry, Ma. I am no longer interested in working and I intend to quit this morning. I don't want to work here anymore." "What is your reason for quitting the job?" Maria asked. "Ma, I honestly do not like how you always treated me in this house. I am old enough to be your mother. It is my condition that has brought me to your house. If my late husband is still alive, my life could not have been as miserable as this. Each time you talk to me like a child, it reminds me of my late husband and made me cry. So, I do not want to work for you anymore because my mind is no longer there." Mama had explained with scary eyes. "What is the point of all this nonsense you are talking about? I asked you a simple understanding question. And you told me a story. Anyway, if you want to go, you are free. There are plenty of fish in the river, so I will never beg you to stay in my house, smell away from my presence. Thank you, Ma. But please, Ma, pay my salary. I have worked for 3 weeks and 5 days. If you want to receive your salary and leave my house this morning, you must first prepare my children's breakfast. Prepare them for school and clean their rooms before leaving this compound. Get out of my room and do what I ask you," Maria responded. Mama Jude sadly went to the kitchen and began preparing the children's breakfast, after which she bathed and prepared them for school. A few moments later, Samson and Deborah began eating their breakfast, and while they were eating, their father called and Maria brought the phone so they could talk to their father. And as soon as she handed them the phone, she rushed to her room to dress up so she could take the children to school while Mama Jude was cleaning and arranging the children's room as Maria had instructed. "Daddy, when are you coming back?" Samson and Deborah asked. "I'll be back this weekend." "Daddy, please buy me a toy gun so that I can use to play with Deborah," Samson said. "Okay, how about you, my princess?" "Daddy, buy me a teddy bear," Deborah responded. And when the call ended, Samson said, "Deborah, let us go to the kitchen and do what the auntie and uncle did. In the movie we watched with Mommy last night, we will use Mommy's phone to video it so that when Daddy returns we can show him." "Okay, let us go, I will be the auntie." Deborah. When they arrived at the kitchen, Samson placed the phone in a stable position to film them carry 2 big knives, one for Deborah and one for himself. And they began doing what they had seen in movie last night. While they were playing with the knives, Deborah mistakenly injured Samson, and Samson angrily used his knife and stabbed Deborah in her stomach, and fell to the ground and blood began gushing out. "Deborah, please, I am sorry. Get up. Let us go finish our breakfast." "So, Mommy can take us to school," Samson said, and Deborah did not respond. "Deborah, please talk to me now. I said I am sorry. Stand up. I will not play again. Please let us go and finish our breakfast," Samson said, and he tried to lift Deborah. So after Samson called Deborah several times and receiving no response, he ran upstairs to their mom's room with a knife. Immediately after Samson left the kitchen, Mama Jude walked into the kitchen and found Deborah dead on the ground. "Jesus Christ, this is exactly what I saw in my dream. Please let me leave this house instantly so that this woman does not accuse me of killing this girl," Mama Jude said as she rushed to her room to carry her belongings to run away. When Samson got to his mom's room, he screamed, "Mommy, Mommy, Mommy, Mommy. Samson, what is pursuing you and what are you doing with the knife?" Samson's mom asked. "Mommy, please come and see what I did to Deborah in the kitchen," Samson said. "Samson, what did you do to Deborah? Blood all over your school uniform and hands." "Mommy, I used your knife to do what that auntie did to that uncle in that movie we watched last night, and she fell on the ground just like the uncle in the movie. And I called her several times, but she refused to answer, and I tried to wake her up so that we could finish our breakfast. But she did not move her body, let alone respond to me. Please come and wake her up from her sleep, so that we can finish our breakfast and go to school," Samson explained innocently. "Samson, you did what?" Jesus, my only daughter. I hope it's not what I'm thinking of." Maria screamed as she locked Samson inside her bedroom and ran recklessly to the kitchen. And when she got to the downstairs, Mama Jude was just coming out from her room with her belongings. "Woman, where is Deborah? And where are you going with your belongings?" Maria curiously asked. "Ma, I do not see Deborah, and I do not want to stay here anymore." Mama Jude responded fearfully. "Where?" "Follow me to the kitchen right now," Maria said as she rushed to the kitchen. And when she arrived, she was extremely shocked to find Deborah lying dead on the ground and her uniform was soaked in blood. "Woman, what exactly did you do to my daughter?" Maria asked as she grabbed Mama Jude. "Ma, I did not do anything to her. You have the guts to kill my daughter. And you want to run away? You die miserably." Maria then drove recklessly to the hospital. A few moments later, Mama Jude began crying and lamenting easily. "Oh God, why me? Why me, God? God, did you duplicate me to come to this world to suffer and die miserably? What did I do to deserve this kind of unbearable pain and punishment? I regretted and cursed the day my mother gave birth to me. Oh God, do not let anything to happen to that girl, because if she dies I am finished," Mama Jude exclaimed. When Maria arrived at the emergency ward and a doctor attended to her, the doctor said, "Mama, we did our best, but you lost her." Maria screamed heavily and slumped. Doctor and nurses quickly attended to her. 45 minutes later, Maria woke up and began asking, "Please my daughter, please my daughter, please my daughter, please calm down, madam. This is not the end of your life," the doctor said. "You will never understand the agonies, intimidation and endured before God blessed me with that girl," Maria exclaimed. "Ma, I understand. God will still give you another girl. Please be strong." Maria then called her husband. "Hello honey, what is going on? Why are you crying?" Mark curiously asked. Deborah, what happened to my princess, whom I just spoke with less than 3 hours ago?" "Deborah is dead, oh. Deborah is dead, oh. Deborah is dead, oh." "Maria, what kind of stupid talk is this?" Maria decided to switch the phone to video call and show Mark Deborah's corpse. "Jesus Christ, Maria, who killed my daughter?" "What? Why did she kill my only daughter?" "I don't know. I don't know." "Where is she right now?" Mark asks angrily. "I locked her inside. Let her stay there until I return. Do not feed her. She had the audacity to murder my only daughter. I will slaughter her and burn her to ashes," Mark said. Maria then took Deborah's corpse to a mortuary. And when she returned home, Samson said, "Mommy, I was the one who used the knife on Deborah, not Mama Jude. She was not even present when Deborah and I were playing in the kitchen. Please Mommy, watch the video of what happened in the kitchen." Samson took out the phone he used to record themselves while they were playing in the kitchen. And after Maria finished watching the video, she angrily beat Samson mercilessly until the boy nearly died. Thereafter, she began thinking and planning what she would tell people about the late Deborah. "I will never tell anyone that my son killed Deborah, because if I do, they will definitely execute Samson for killing the royal blood. And Mama Jude will say, I warned her not to let those children watch that movie that night. And if my husband hears that, he will kill me right away. I will falsely accuse Mama Jude badly of killing Deborah so that she will be put to death instead of my son. What kind of problem have I caused for myself? I wish I had known a day like this would come. I could have listened to that woman last night. See what pride and negligence has landed me today. I just lost my grown-up daughter because of my carelessness. How am I going to survive without Deborah?" Maria lamented, and when she finished lamenting, she deleted the video so that her husband will not see it. After that, she drew Samson's hairs and said, "Samson, if your father or anyone asks you about the death of Deborah, just tell them that you came to give me my phone in my room after you and Deborah finished making call with your father. And while you were in my room, you heard Deborah screaming. And when you and I went downstairs to find out what happened to Deborah, we saw Mama Judith trying to open the door to run away with her belongings. And when we got to the kitchen, we found Deborah dead on the ground," Maria instructed. "Mommy, I do not want to lie to Daddy. But you see, the uncle who died in that movie will wake up after the fight. Why did Deborah not wake up?" Samson asked innocently with teary eyes, and Maria began beating him again. "Samson, listen to me. If you tell anyone what you did to your sister, I will kill you just as you killed Deborah. Get out of my presence, stupid boy." The next day, Max and Maria's family arrived to find out why Mama Jude killed Deborah. When they arrived, they brought Mama Jude out of the room and Maria began explaining everything that happened. "I was in my room getting ready to carry Samson and Deborah to school when my husband called and told me to give the phone to Deborah and Samson. So I dashed downstairs to give them the phone and then returned to my room to finish getting ready. 5 minutes later, Samson brought me the phone, and as he was about to return to the dining to continue his breakfast, I heard Deborah screaming heavily from downstairs. And when we rushed downstairs, I caught Mama Jude trying to open the door to run away, and I saw blood stain in her hands and clothes. So I decided to stop her and ask her why Deborah was screaming and where she was running to with her belongings. She began stammering. And when I got to the kitchen, I saw Deborah lying dead on the ground, Maria explained. Mama Jude could not say anything. She was crying uncontrollably. And Mark's mother became extremely angry, slapped her, angry that intending to kill her, but they held her. Woman, why did you kill the innocent girl? Maria's father asked. I swear that my little husband grieved that I did not kill Deborah. If you claim you did not kill her, why did you want her to run away as soon as the girl died? Mark's father asked. And Mama Jude could not defend herself. She was crying and stammering. You are an evil woman. How can anyone believe you did not kill the little girl when you were the only one with her downstairs? Maria's father asked. This woman is a witch. She most likely tried to kill the little girl spiritually, but failed. So, she decided to kill her physically and wanted to run, but God exposed her. She must be stoned or burned alive because she deserves to die painfully. Mark's father said, You are correct, but let us wait until Mark returns from abroad before doing anything to her. Mark's mom said. They eventually returned Mama Jude to the room and locked her inside without feeding her, and she cried all day and night. 2 days later, Mark returned from his trip abroad and went straight to the mortuary to see his daughter's corpse. When he arrived at his compound, he rushed to his room, carried a gun and dashed to where Mama Jude was locked up, forcing the door open and entering to kill the poor, innocent woman. Woman, I give you 5 seconds to explain why you killed my only daughter. Start talking now, else I will shoot you. Mark angrily commanded, pointing the gun at Mama Jude. Please, kill me. I want to die. I want to die. I am tired of suffering. Please kill me. Let me die miserably and rest. I am tired of this life. I want to die you. Mama Jude exclaimed. Mark was deeply touched. He looked at her with hairy eyes, left the room and went to his room. Maria, can you tell me what happened to my daughter that I left with you? Because I do not think that poor woman could kill Deborah. Do not mind her innocent face, because she's a devil in human form. She can kill while pretending to be innocent, Maria responded. Woman, you have not answered my question. What happened to my daughter whom I left with you to travel abroad? Mark asked angrily. I was in my room getting ready to take Samson and Deborah to school when you called and told me to rush to the dining table downstairs to give them the phone. And then I returned to my room to finish getting ready. 5 minutes later, Samson brought me the phone, and as he was about to return to the dining table to finish his breakfast, I heard Deborah screaming heavily from downstairs, and when we rushed downstairs, I caught Mama Jude trying to open the door to run away, and I saw clothes stain in her hands and clothes. So I decided to stop her and ask her why Deborah was screaming and where she was running to with her belongings. She began stammering, and when I got to the kitchen, I saw Deborah lying dead on the ground. Maria explained, and Mark left without saying anything and went to Samson's room. When he got to Samson's room, Samson was busy looking at Deborah's pictures and crying heavily, and his father walked in and confronted him. Mark then locked the door and began questioning Samson while Maria stood on the door outside listening. My prince, you are the only person I trust in this house because you have never lied to me. Look at me and tell me what happened to Deborah. And as Samson was about to reveal everything that had happened, Maria knocked on the door and said, Samson, please open the door. I brought you your favorite juice, madam. I am having a very serious discussion with him, Mark said, and she still stood there to hear what Samson had to say. Please go ahead, my prince, Mark said. Samson suddenly remembered what his mom had told him when his father or anyone asked him about Deborah's death. So he looked at his father with teary eyes and began lying to him. Daddy, after Deborah and I finished talking with you, I went to Mommy's room to give her phone. And as I was about to leave, I heard Deborah screaming. So Mommy rushed downstairs to find out what happened to Deborah, and I followed her. And when we got to the parlor, We saw Auntie Alice trying to open the door to flee with her bags. And when we got to the kitchen, we found Deborah dead on the ground. So it is true. I will kill that woman today, Mark said as he watched frustratedly to where the locked-up Mama Jude was, and as he was about to strangle her, she said with teary eyes, "Please, sir, before you kill me, tell your wife to give me my phone. I want to call my only surviving child and say my final prayer for her, so that her life does not end up as miserable as mine." Mark sadly looked at the woman and left the room, went to the parlor and sat on the ground. And while he was sitting, Samson came out and begged him to give Mama Jude food. "Go tell your mother to give her food," Mark said. And when Samson went to Maria and told her to give Mama Jude food, she shouted at him and told him to leave her presence. So he went back to his father and told him what his mother had done to him. Mark decided to go by himself. "Maria, please give that poor woman food. She's been locked up in that room for over 5 days without eating." "Mark, are you okay? Why would you advise me to give food to someone who killed our only daughter?" "Maria," I said, "give her food. I do not care if she killed my daughter or not." "Mark, I will never give her food. I cannot believe you are the one saying this, woman. This is my house. So give that woman food," Mark said. And while they were interacting, Mark received a call from Timothy, his best friend. "Hello Mark, where are you?" "I am in your parlor." "Okay, please wait for me. I will be there shortly," Mark said as he rushed to the parlor to meet with his friend. When he arrived, Timothy asked Mark, "What did your wife tell you that happened to Deborah?" She stated that she was in her bedroom getting ready to take Samson and Deborah to school when I called and told her to rush to the dining table downstairs to give Samson and Deborah the phone, then return to her room to finish getting ready. 5 minutes later, Samson brought her the phone, and as Samson was about to return to the dining table to finish his breakfast, they heard Deborah screaming heavily from downstairs, and when they rushed downstairs, they caught Mama Jude trying to open the door to run away, and she saw blood stain in her hands and clothes. So she decided to stop her and ask her why Deborah was screaming and where she was running to with her belongings. And the woman began stammering, and when she got to the kitchen, she saw Deborah lying dead on the ground. "Mark, this is quite unbelievable. Here is the woman who killed your daughter." Mark then took Timothy to where Mama Jude was in prison, and when he saw her face was swollen because of too much crying. So after they left the room, Timothy said, "Mark, I still find it difficult to believe that the poor woman killed Deborah because she does not appear to be capable of harming flies, let alone humans. Do not judge her based on her appearance. Her face may appear innocent, but she may have a devilish heart. Remember, the world is full of wicked people," Mark responded. "I agree. But what do you intend to do with her?" "I don't know. I am very confused right now. I tried to kill her, but I couldn't." "Mark, I propose you hand over the woman to the police and bury your daughter." "Timothy, that is exactly what I intended to do. But my problem is my family. They will leave no stone unturned until the woman is being executed because of certain rules and regulations govern our kingdom." "What type of rules and regulations are you referring to?" "Timothy, as you are aware, I am from a royal family and my uncle is the king of this kingdom. So the law states that anyone who kills any of the rare blood must be executed either by stoning to death or burning alive, and the news has already spread throughout the town and the king is aware, and they were all waiting for my return. My man, the circumstances are just beyond my control. This is extremely complicated. Just do your best and leave the rest for God," the man replied. The following day, Mark, Maria and their families went to the palace, and Maria began explaining to the king and his cabinet everything that had happened the day Deborah died. "I was in my room getting ready to carry Samson and Deborah to school, when my husband called and told me to give the phone to Deborah and Samson, so I dashed downstairs to give them the phone and then returned to my room to finish getting ready. 5 minutes later, Samson brought me the phone, and as he was about to return to the dining table to finish his breakfast, I heard Deborah screaming heavily from downstairs, and when we rushed downstairs, I caught Mama Ju trying to open the door to run away, and I saw blood stain in her hands and clothes. So I decided to stop her and ask her why Deborah was screaming and where she was running to with her belongings. She began stammering, and when I got to the kitchen, I saw Deborah lying dead on the ground. The king then sent for Mama Jude, who was brought to the palace a few minutes later and sat on the ground. Can you tell us why you killed the little girl whose parents hired you to care for? The king asked. Your Majesty, I did not kill her. I was cleaning up their room that morning when I heard Deborah screaming, so I rushed to find out what happened. And when I go to the dining table that she was sitting with her brother, but I could not find any of them. So when I went to the kitchen, I was shocked to see her lying dead, and I became extremely scared. So I had to go to my room to carry my belongings to leave the house, because I had already told my madam that I wanted to quit the job that morning, but she asked me to finish my morning duties before leaving her house. Which I did without hesitation, Mama Jude explained. So when you came downstairs to see what happened to the little girl, did you meet anyone? The king asked. No, Your Majesty. Okay. Did you find the door open or locked? The door was locked, Your Majesty. But when you discovered the girl you were caring for, lying dead on the ground, why didn't you rush to inform her mom instead of attempting to run away? The king asked. Your Majesty, I was extremely scared because of a dream I had the night before the incident, which was exactly what happened that day. I tried to tell Madam about the dream so she could be more careful with her children, but she didn't pay attention to me. Maria, was this woman trying to tell you something that night, but you ignore her? No, Your Majesty, she's lying. She's simply looking for a way to cover up her crime. Madam, why are you lying? After I had the dream about your children, I came to your room twice and begged to listen to what I had to say, but you poured me juice and pushed me out. Can you close your stinking mouth? Which room did you come to? Maria asked. Your Majesty, this woman is guilty of the crime. I believe she came to fulfill missions. Because I do not understand how a reasonable and responsible human being would see a girl she was hired to care for lying dead on the ground and attempt to flee instead of informing her parents. That is courage, my queen, and she must face the consequences, the Prime Minister said. Mark, I strongly believe you are aware of the rules and regulations of this land, so it is up to you to decide whether the youths should stone her to death or burn her alive. Please, Your Majesty, I want her to go to prison rather than being stoned to death or burned alive, Mark said. That is completely impossible. The only options are to stone her to death or to burn her alive, the king replied. I am sorry, Your Majesty, but I want to handle my daughter's case myself. Mark, that's completely unacceptable. It can never happen. Deborah is my granddaughter and also from the royal family. So this woman should be executed, Mark's father said, and Mark stormed angrily out of the palace. The king then asked Maria if the youth should burn Mama Jude alive or stone her to death, to which Maria responded. The youth should burn her alive. So the king decided to order the youths to burn her alive, and as youth wanted to take her away, she said, Please, Your Majesty, allow me to call my only surviving child and her 2 children to tell them what happened to me before the youth burned me alive, because they are unaware of what I am going through. There is no way, woman youths take her away. The king responded. And the youth took her away, began beating her. And when they got to where they wanted to burn her alive, they put tires around her neck and poured foil all over her body. And as they were about to burn Mama Jude alive, everybody was shocked by what happened. What do you think will happen? Thanks for watching. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell to be notified whenever we post the next episode. See you in the next episode.